I'm Spencer Hamann, here at Classic Violins. As the seasons change, not only do we see the change in temperature, but there's also a change in humidity. In the summer, there tends to be more humidity in the air, and the temperature is higher. In the winter, of course, it gets colder, and humidity drops, and things dry out. Just as in our house, we oftentimes have a humidifier to correct this in the winter, so should we have a product to take care of our instrument as the humidity drops. Because the violin is a wooden object, it is very affected by humidity. As the instrument absorbs or releases humidity, the wood will actually expand or contract, which, because the instrument is simply glued together, this can cause seams to open up, and sometimes cracks in the top or the back to form. If we monitor the humidity of our instrument and are careful and diligent about where we store it, we can prevent these things from happening. There are many products available to help add humidity to a violin, which is usually the most common problem, drying out, one of which is very popular and is called a Dampit. Dampits are available in many sizes for all instruments, violins and cellos. They look kind of like a green noodle. This one is for a cello, and this is a very small one for a small fractional size violin. And we also have a normal full-size violin here that has a Dampit in it as well, which I'll be demonstrating how to use. So, the Dampit, we can see, is stored through the F-hole of the instrument. To remove the Dampit, we just pull out from the little black plug, and it will emerge from the inside of the instrument. When removing or installing a Dampit in the instrument, you must be careful about pulling it out. If it binds too much, you can cause damage to the corners of the F-hole, or sometimes, if you're not careful in putting it back in, the sound post can be knocked out of whack by the Dampit. Just something to keep in mind. To prepare the Dampit, all we have to do is soak it in a bowl of water. Sometimes there's dust on the inside of the instrument. It's not a bad idea to just wipe it down a little bit beforehand. And then I'll just wrap it up a little bit and soak it in this bowl of water. It only takes a few seconds for the Dampit to start absorbing water, and there doesn't need to be an excessive amount. When I remove the Dampit, see it is dripping wet, I will just twist it up and wring it gently to get some of the excess water out, just like wringing out a shirt. And finally, I will dry off the outside of the Dampit just with some paper towel to make sure it is not excessively wet. The moisture in the Dampit is contained within the spongy core, and if it is too moist or there is too much water on it, that extra water actually getting into the wood of the instrument can cause just as much damage as if it was too dry. To reinsert the Dampit, all we need to do is remove the instrument and the small black tip, just insert it back through the F-hole, usually aiming down so that you can be sure to avoid the sound post entirely. Just keep sliding it in until it is fully set. The Dampit, for when playing, can actually be left in the instrument. It doesn't have any great negative effect on the sound, otherwise it can be chosen to removed. But every couple days, or whenever you're taking your instrument out of your case, you can take a look and see if it is still moist. If not, it just needs to have a little bit of moisture applied to it. Even running it under just a tap or some water will help to rejuvenate it. Now, besides the Dampit, there are other products available for taking care of humidity. Some cases come with a little clear bottle, which they call a vaporette. This works similar to the Dampit. The bottom has a cap, which can be removed, and it can be filled with water. At the top of this, there is a little slide that, by turning one way or the other, can either cover or release, or cover or open a series of holes, which can let more humidity and more water get into the case, or less. These can sometimes run the risk of leaking, which is why a Dampit is a little more safe, so you don't worry about having water sloshing around inside of your case, potentially damaging your instrument. There's another option to this, which is called the Oasis. It looks kind of like a little tube. There's, again, a cap at one end that you can fill with water, but this seals much more securely, and through the membrane releases humidity into the case, and as it does this, it will crumple up, which will tell you when you need to refill it. Now that you know a little bit about adding humidity and keeping the instrument humidified, it's also very important to be able to know how much humidity is in your instrument case and affecting your instrument. On a lot of cases, like this one, there is a small dial fitted, a hygrometer, which measures the humidity inside of the case, and if you leave it open, in this case, measures the humidity inside of the room. You can see, on this case, that it is reading humidity of about 55%, which is good in the normal zone. For a violin, the comfortable humidity is somewhere between 40 and 60%. Less than that is considered too dry, and so adding something like a vaporette or another humidity system is a good way to top things back up. And if it is reading overly humid, it's good to put it somewhere a little more dry, but usually getting too humid isn't a problem that we run into. So with these tips in mind, you should be somewhat better equipped to make sure your instrument is humid and warm and safe. Again, it's good to keep in mind that for an instrument temperature-wise and humidity-wise, anything that would be comfortable for you will also be comfortable for your instrument, to keep in mind when storing. If you are looking for things like Dampits or other humidity aids, they can be found in our shop, or also at many other reputable dealers. If you have any questions, please feel free to give us a call, and we'd be happy to discuss instrument storage and humidity. Thank you very much.